Okay, Mr. Dion, welcome.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
You don't have to call me Mister. Just call me Dion. It's weird to to hear my name with Mister in front of it.
Well, it's protocol, man.
It's okay. You can just call my name.
All right.
So I think a little bit of inaccuracy. So
Okay.
I don't intern for General Electric or Delta. I interned for PsyOp. PsyOp is a production house.
Okay. Sorry.
And then I continued to work with them. And some of our clients are Delta Airlines, Chick-fil-A, Facebook. But mostly now I'm working from Bandung, actually. I came back to Indonesia because I got engaged. And also,
Congratulations.
thank you. My work now focuses on picture books, editorials, advertisements. So I think the editorial part, the news part, that is quite related to what we're going to be talking about today, about the humanitarian issues and how we as visual artists have responsibilities and how we can direct our audiences, but also how can we be more aware of where we're standing in regards of these different issues. So that's what I think we'll be discussing today.
Okay. No, sorry for the because
it's okay. Don't worry.
The main. Okay.
No.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Do you have a presentation prepared?
Right. Yeah, I do have a presentation, but I think a lot of you, I saw the previous session too, right? So I think a lot of people are paying attention. You guys are asking interesting questions. So before you guys are asking me questions, I'll be the one to ask questions and you can just type in your answers. So the topic today is somehow related to humanitarian issues, right? So what do you have in mind in regards to humanitarian issues? Just write down the first thing that comes to mind when you talk about humanitarian. Just anyone. Shoot it out, like just quickly. So the reason why I'm asking you is because I think humanitarian issues are, this is my personal opinion, okay? But can you don't share the slides yet? I'll do the sharing. I think I can share screen. Yeah, okay. I think it's easier if I do the sharing.
All right.
Okay, so just stop sharing the screen first. I think it's fine. I'll just talk to the audience first. So humanitarian issues, I think, are something that personally I find, well, someone said that it's sensitive, right? I think it's not so much sensitive, but it's more like people are not very aware when they're talking about humanitarian issues. For example, like if we have a topic like gay rights or gay activism, like someone brought it up just now, or we have a topic about COVID or about different religions, there will be people siding with one side, and then there will be other group of people going to the other side, right? But I think as artists, as visual communicators, we have to choose which role do we want to do. Do we want to make people pick side, so you'll be an activism, or do you want people to understand the issue more and make decisions for themselves? So that's why I'm asking you, what is humanitarian issues? When I say that word, what comes to your mind? Because I think a lot of people don't really understand what is humanitarian issues itself. I was talking to Sam, the coordinator, over the phone, and we're talking about humanitarian issues. And I think I was like, I don't know if you guys are understanding what humanitarian issues are, but the topic is there. So I just want people to be more aware about it. So let me now show, like, we're talking about issues, right? So let's see that there's an issue. It can be big or it can be small. And some people would be aware, some people would be looking at the issues, but a lot of other people, because there's so many people in the world, right? They wouldn't be giving attention to what's going on. So they can be just everywhere around the issues without paying attention to the issues itself. But if there's just one person, it can be an artist, it can be a designer, it can be an activist, a politician, a leader, just anyone. If there's just that one person who shines the light on the issue, that person can attract the people around that person, around him or her, to actually pay attention to the same issue, right? But there are differences in how you can garner attentions regarding issues. The first one, you can be an activist. Are you familiar with the concept of activism? So for example, an activism would be someone who's fighting for a belief that they believe in. So they would try to bring people to see what they see. And when you do that, a lot of these other people, they'll be going to your side and looking at the issue from this side, right? So for example, if I go on social media right now and I say that Indonesia is oppressive, especially with the new law about marriage outside before sex, or about living together when you're not married, then someone can say that, oh, Indonesia is being oppressive, okay? And that person can be very loud, and that person can be bringing the attention to that issue, telling people why it is bad, why it is oppressive, why Indonesia should not be doing that. So that would be an activism. They'll be fighting for a person's cause. But there's also another way of shining a light on an issue that is more of a journalistic. So journalistic is more of like what I'm doing, because I'm an editorial illustration. I create images for news, websites that are journalistic. So with journalistic illustrations or designs, what you want to do is not to bring people to pay attention to an issue from your perspective, but you want to be as neutral as possible and present the facts. So when you're presenting facts, sometimes your fact can be here, sometimes your facts can be here, sometimes your fact can be here. So you'll be taking these people who are following your creation to look at the issue in a more holistic manner, in a circular manner. So the issue is a circle, right? You can look at it from this angle, you can look at it from this angle. But as a journalist, if you're a good journalist, not like, I'm not gonna say a brand, but some TV in Indonesia, they would like fight for certain politicians. Some other television channel, they will fight for another politicians. Then that's not really journalistic anymore. That's more like a activism or marketing. For true journalism, you have to be neutral and you have to present the issues regardless of what you believe in. Okay, so for example, let's say if you're a feminist, right? You really care for equality in gender. You really care about bringing equal rights for women. But then you learn a piece of information about how some people are doing feminism wrongly. You cannot just close your eyes and walk away from that issue, because you're now in a journalistic mindset. You need to present that issue as well and look at the problem from all of the different angles. Okay, so those are the two main positions that you can take as a designer, as an artist, as an illustrator. So I want to show you an example of what I did back when I was in college. And you can tell me, when you look at this picture, do you think this is more of a journalistic or more of a activism point of view that I'm taking? You can just write it down, journalistic or activism. If you don't know how to spell it, you can write down J or A, just one word or one letter. Activisms, okay, someone else? Activism, yeah. Okay, so this is very clear, right? When you're making an art for an activism cause, most of the time it is very, very clear because you have a standpoint. You know, for example, this was made for an article in New York Times, but the section is called opinion. So it's not a news, but it's a section that writes that publishes people's opinion. And this particular opinion was about how Donald Trump, was a liar. So when I was a student, I wasn't really careful. I wasn't really thoughtful about those issues. So when I look at that, I was just, okay, Donald Trump is a liar. So I'm taking up the side that I don't like Donald Trump, even though I don't really care about Donald Trump. But because of the article, I was like, okay, Donald Trump is a liar. So I'm going to support that argument. And by supporting that argument, I was being an activist. But that's the problem. And also why I think being an activism artist or having this activism mentality is actually harder, because you need to be fully aware why you're supporting something or why you're hating something. So in this case, when I was a student, I wasn't fully aware. I was just, you know, the popular story is that Donald Trump is bad, right? So I support that because it's popular. But to be a true activist, you need to be very, very careful, and you need to take responsibility in the point of view that you take. For example, if you want to like make an art about global warming, it seems like global warming is a good thing to eradicate, right? To erase. But you're like, probably someone was talking about like, maybe we should reduce plastic. Okay, reducing plastic is a good thing. You're supporting that. But is it that easy to reduce plastic? How much more carbon footprint are we going to make if we just change plastic to paper? And a lot of people, they don't think about it. So their activism kind of falls short. And compare that to this illustration. So this illustration is talking about a story about how when you are being adopted, you're not a US citizen, so you're not a citizen of United States of America, and you want to be a citizen. It will be easier if you get adopted than if you actually apply in a legal, like immigration way. So you can see that this kid is being adopted and he can pass through the border really easily. While these other people, they might have been doing the right thing. They might have filed the right paper. They do all the paperwork. They are good citizens, but they're not allowed to be American citizens. So in this story, I wasn't trying to take a side whether United States is being oppressive or whether they're being racist. And I'm also not trying to take a side of whether these immigrants are probably illegal, these immigrants are not good people. What I'm trying to show is that just the fact, it is easier if you want to be a United States of American citizen to be adopted than if you apply as yourself through immigration. So in this illustration, you can see that you are not hating one side or the other, right? I'm not showing that one side is bad, one side is good. I'm not showing that you need to pick a side, whether you need to care for this kid or the parents. What I'm trying to show is just the fact. And because as a visual artist, we cannot show so many facts with just images. People say like a picture paints 1,000 words, but that's kind of like a lie, right? You can't really understand everything just from a picture. So my point of drawing this is so that people can kind of be attracted to read the articles, read the facts, and then make decisions for themselves, whether they're supporting the United States system or they're supporting that it should not be that hard to immigrate and become a US citizen. And another example, like this one. This is more of Indonesian context. If you remember, in 2019, there was a suicide bombing in Surabaya, right? And the bombing was done by a man and his wife. So it's basically kind of like they carried out this act of terrorism as a family. And when they investigated further, even the kids and the children are sort of, for the lack of better word, brainwashed into supporting this action. So as a Catholic, the bombing was done in church. It hurt and it killed a lot of people. And as a Catholic, it would be very easy for me to be like, oh my God, I hate these people. They're harming my religions. They are trying to stop me from doing my rights, my human rights. But I could be angry, but when I'm making the art, I cannot put that emotions into the work because I'm not trying to make people hate one side or the other. I'm trying to report what is happening. And through creating this art, it also changes my mind from something that was pretty emotional to something that is more rational and understanding. So the explosion is not represented by a bomb because a bomb has a connotation for everyone, right? You see a bomb and you talk to an American, they think about Arabian people, right? And you take a bomb and you give it to the police to show the police station, and they'll be thinking about the recent suicide bombing in Bandung. You take a bomb and give it to a gamer, maybe they'll be thinking about Bomberman. So that bomb itself has a lot of connotations. That's why I'm not using it. So the bomb itself is represented by these lines that shows the energy coming out from the center. And what's in the center? It's the family, right? The father, the mother, and the child that is affected by this issue also. They're also a victim in this case. So I cannot say that, oh, they're doing this, they get what they deserve. But it's really an issue that is affecting both sides. The victim of the bombing would probably be the people at church. But these people who are carrying out this act of aggression, they may not be fully aware of what they're doing. They might have been indoctrinated from very young, as we can see that even the kid is supporting this kind of act. And it may not even be for a cause that they believe in. They might think that they're doing this for religion, but the people using them might actually be doing this for political purpose, right? They might be doing this for economical gains and all that. So I cannot be making them, painting them as if they're bad people. They're just people. They're just the same kind of victim as the other people around the bombing site. So through this image, what I'm trying to show is that, well, yes, there's a bombing. Well, it involves these people, but I'm not telling people that these people is bad. These people is good. These people are doing the right thing for their religion, or these people are not doing the right thing for the world. What I'm just trying to do is attract people to read the article, gather all the facts, and from gathering all the facts, then these people can decide for themselves if they will support the Suicide Bombers Act, or they will support the disbanding of this kind of act. So I know I'm saying that as if I'm supporting suicide bombers. I'm not supporting that, right? But it's not my job to make you or force you to believe in what I believe, because I'm not an activist. Okay? So another one, same example. This is about school shooting in the United States and how it makes a lot of children they stop focusing on work, on school, and they're living in fear, right? So here, I'm not showing that gun is bad. I'm not trying to make people think that we should ban gun in the United States, because in the United States, the big issue is like, why is gun legal? Why can people buy guns, right? I'm not trying to make people hate guns. I'm not trying to make people feel that these kids are pathetic. What I'm showing is that because of all these issues, these kids are scared. And that's the fact. So you can read more about it and decide whether you are supporting this or you're not supporting this. So if we're talking about journalistic illustration and activism illustration, it seems like journalistic illustration is easier because you're not taking a side, you're not fighting for anything. But I will argue that this is actually much harder than this one. Why? Because for journalistic illustration, you are not trying to make people believe the same thing that you believe in. So you have to cast aside all your prejudice. You have to set aside your emotions. And you need to be more calm. You need to be more mindful in garnering people's awareness of an issue, to see it from all the sides so that people can make decisions from this for themselves. You need to stay neutral. And as a journalist, sometimes you get these pushbacks that like, oh, so you're not supporting us, meaning you're supporting the other side. And no, I'm not supporting you, and I'm not supporting the other side as a journalist. As a person, I might be supporting you or I might be supporting them. But as a journalist, I'm supporting the information, right? I'm supporting the facts. So whatever fact it is, it will come up, and it'll be just easier because I'm just staying with the facts. I'm not trying to create arguments. I'm not trying to make people believe in me. I'm just stating the facts. And the fact is always out there, so that's why it's easier. But for activism, it's much harder because you're trying to make people believe in the same thing that you believe in. For example, you hate, when you eat bubur, you don't want to mix it, and some people want to mix it first. And you hate people who mix their bubur. You want people to not mix their bubur. So you make the argument, and basically you're trying to be this bubur activist, trying to make people like not mix their toppings, right? But it is harder because you need to actually know exactly why. For example, like you're not mixing it because scientifically it makes the texture bad, it makes it soggy, blah, 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 blah. But if your reasoning is because I've just been doing this since a kid, you're not a good activist, right? You're just being opinionated and you're just being close-minded. So it is harder because you have to fight that custom, you have to fight your initial mindset, and you have to actually make a stand based on facts, and you pick a side. And you have to be responsible because when you pick a side, that means you make enemies of other people and on the other side automatically. So that's why you need to know for sure exactly why you're supporting a cause. Okay, so to summarize everything, as visual artists, it might be easy for us to just make a poster supporting global warming, or a poster supporting women's rights, a poster supporting all that kind of like humanitarian issues. But are we making that because we are really aware of the troubles, or are we just making that because that's the popular thing people say? So do you want to be an activist, or do you want to be a journalist when you're creating an illustration? Either way, there's no right or wrong, but you have to be responsible for whichever choice that you make. So yeah, that's basically all the thing that I'm talking about in my presentation, and I'll be happy to answer some questions.